Welcome to another edition of Quoth the Raven. I'm your host, Louis Bright Raven, 27-year veteran of comics, science fiction, fantasy, and horror as a writer, illustrator, and editor. This week's edition is called What's the Frequency? Or What's the Frequency, Raven? Some people have called me out, so to speak, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But we're also going to be discussing questions and answers, doing some reviews this week, and have some announcements later on in the show as for special events this weekend for the channel. So you might want to stick around for that. So our first thing that we're going to do is mention, as always, that in accordance with the new COPPA regulations for YouTube, this episode of Quoth Raven is intended for ages 16 and up. While some of the content we will feature is quote-unquote kid-friendly, the context of the episode is to address and educate older teens and adults to inform them of said content for then their research as consumers in service of their youth. In other words, parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, teachers, librarians, etc., and there is the possibility of adult language present on the episode as well. Rated TV 16 and up. With that being said, let's get into our question and answers. And when we do that, our first question of the night is from Eric. He says, "Hi, Raven. Did you watch that YouTube video that had Diamond Distribution CEO, owner Steve Jeppy, and various retailers talking about the current distribution situation?" Yeah, I did go to YouTube and I did watch about the first 30 to 45 minutes of it before I kind of just got tired of it, to be honest. Most of it was just Steve giving a mostly correct but not entirely correct history of Diamond and the distribution scene in the comic book industry in the 90s. And it started to get other, as the retailers started coming in, it felt very I don't know. It just didn't really. I lost interest. Now, if there's things that were said post, say, 45 minutes into it that somebody thinks I need to see, go ahead and email me at the email address you see, quothravenlbr72@gmail.com. Cite specific timestamps in that video. I'll go back and look at it. Maybe there was something I missed. It's always possible, but I just wasn't particularly enamored with that video. I didn't see where it was saying anything that anybody didn't already know and hadn't already been said already. So, it was just there. Mm-hmm. Our next question. Mm-hmm. Is from Anonymous, and says, "Diamond says they are going to start shipping new books again on the week of May 20th, 2020. What will you be doing to get your comics fix until then? We'll be seeing review segments." Yes, I'm going to be reviewing stuff. There's books that I've bought in the past that I haven't reviewed yet. I'm going to review 4 books tonight. Actually, 2 series, 2 volumes each, but yes, there's always stuff to be reviewed, both in comics and in film, DVD stuff. So I'll have stuff to talk about. That's not a problem there. As for May 20th, hopefully that'll be fine. Everybody will be somewhat back to normal again, and normal being, there's no such thing as going back to normal, so shall we say, but something somewhat resembling what we had before to an extent. But we'll see. Next question. Various parties ask, have you seen, read, or heard about the changes coming to DeviantArt's website? And if so, how will that affect your use of the site? May 20, I think it's around May 20th offhand, that DeviantArt's going to force the site to go to what they call their Eclipse version exclusively. You won't be able to go back to your traditional green screened format, but the reality is they've already kind of changed the green format to Eclipse as it is. As far as the layout goes, it's closer to the Eclipse, so I guess you're already transitioned. At least it's what it looks like to me on my page. I haven't really had to submit or update anything on it recently, so I don't know yet. Find out probably a little bit, maybe by next week. I'll have a better answer for you, but right now it doesn't seem to be a major deal. I know a lot of people who are up in arms about it, but I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. I'll probably have to come back to that in a future episode. Next question. Various parties also ask, are you going to return to covering the crowdfunded stuff anytime soon? As a matter of fact, yes. We're going to be talking about 5 different crowdfunding projects tonight. So just be patient. It's coming. Next question is from Santos in Round Lake, one of our regular viewers. When are we going to get another live draw episode from you? You never draw on the show anymore. Boo! That, stick around for, Santos and everyone. That's part of what our special announcements are for this coming weekend. But so I will be doing a live draw soon. Next question. That's from Roger in Illinois. Did you see the new ad on Facebook from Scout Comics that says they're bringing back the Perhaponauts later in 2020? Yes, I did see the ad. It is not just the Perhaponauts. It's an entire imprint of horror, action, adventure comics from Scout. Perhaponauts is just one of them. And I hope to get James Pruitt and Todd DeZago and Craig Russell on the show in the future to discuss that line and discuss the Perhaponauts at length. Hopefully in the weeks to come here in May. So just hang loose there. Roger will hopefully get everything addressed and get some more information for everyone on that. Next question. Here we go. Kevin T. from Chicago, Illinois asks, what projects are you currently working on, and can you show anything from it or them on the show? Currently, I am doing a pinup for a forthcoming campaign for a book for a crowdfund. I believe it'll be for Kickstarter. It might be Indiegogo as well, but I think it's Kickstarter. And if that's the case, I can't show that just yet, but it's almost done as far as the line art. I'll be sending that into the party, and as soon as they give me approval, I can share that. The rest of the projects right now, I'm going to have to wait probably another 2-3 weeks before I can start really showing stuff. But it leads into some of our announcements for later this evening. So again, Kevin, just be patient. We're going to get to it tonight. Let's see what other questions we might have. Kind of been slow tonight because of the wait. I guess there's a lot of people on YouTube tonight. Brian R. asks, Hey, Raven, I just watched the episode with Barry Gregory and Indie Planet, and I went to their site and it's down. Do you know why? As a matter of fact, I do know. They had their web host move their site to a different server and it messed it up. And they've been working on it all day today to get that corrected. I don't know if it's fully up and operational, but it definitely will be by tomorrow. So, or at least it should be. That's the last I heard. So just be patient with them, and hopefully Indie Planet will be up, no later than this weekend. And John Norris says hello. Hey, John. Don't know if you've if you just stepped in, you missed a little bit of an announcement on the Perhapanauts, but you can watch the rerun. If you have questions for the show, you can email them to Quoth the Raven, lbr72@gmail.com. Subject QTR questions. Please indicate whether or not you want your name and locale read on air. And that leads us to tonight's rant, only it's not a rant by me. It's a rant that I got in an email, and I've toned it down. I eliminated a lot of, shall we say, spicy language and phrases and other things in it that really, I tried to boil it down to the individual's point. It's rather obnoxious of the person, but we're going to go ahead and do this because it's pretty representational of things that I've dealt with people of this type of nature, I guess. So we'll go with that next. And this is going to go through a number of statements or comments through here from this writer. He says, I've been watching different episodes of your show. You seem to have a real hatred for the comics retailers. Each week you criticize them when without them you would have no comics to read at all. Why are you such a dick to them? Yeah, I listened to you claim you made all those sales without them, but if that's true, why would you even care about what they do? It seems to me that if you really did that well, you wouldn't care at all what they do, since you would be making yours regardless. I don't see you running a comic shop, opening and running a comic shop. I don't see you selling comics these days. Maybe you should just stop talking until you prove it again, assuming you ever did in the first place. I've been running my own store for the past 4 years, and I know what sells to my customer base, mister. And it sure isn't any of the stuff by your guest creators. Well, okay, the Deadpool stuff that Riley Brown worked on sells, but that isn't what you promote on your podcast. I apologize for the delay on this. And I also looked at the Indie Planet site, and there was nothing I carry in my store. You and most of your guests are nobodies and has-beens. Why don't you get some real talent to come on your podcast? Because you're not name enough for them to bother with. That's why. And that was from Trey Williamson of Comicscopia in Pensacola, Florida. Now, let me go back and through his little diatribe and address some of his comments, if you don't mind, folks. He says, I listened to you claim you made all these comic sales without them, but if that's true, why would you even care about what they do? Truth is, I really don't care what they do in terms of my career, per se. My attitude is, I've got a product. If you want to share in making some profit off of that by doing your job and ordering and promoting and marketing that book, great. If you don't, that's your call, but I'm still gonna make mine regardless. That's always been that case. It's been that way since long before this podcast existed, long before the internet existed as you know it. So, sorry. That doesn't mean I'm against brick and mortar stores or retailers anyway. All that means is, the product is here if you want it. And if you don't want it, don't tell me you do and then flip around and don't, and then so you don't, or, don't be snotty about it if you don't want my work, and say, well, you're not good enough because of black and white version or it's the wrong size or whatever. Don't make excuses as a retailer is my complaint, Trey. But we'll continue on. I don't see you opening and running a comic shop. I don't see you selling comics these days. First off, I don't want to run a comic shop, but if I ever did decide to do a comic shop, I wouldn't have most of the stuff. I would do things a lot differently than other people. So I don't know how that would play out anyway. As for me not selling comics, that's a choice right now, but we'll see what goes on later this year, buddy. I got stuff in the pipeline, and we'll see where it goes, okay? And then you can run your mouth or not. I've been running my store for the past 4 years, and I know what sells to my customer base, mister. Yeah. Okay, first off, most businesses for their first 5 years are lucky if they even break even, let alone make a profit. So the fact that you're in your 4th year doesn't mean shit to me. I'm going to just spell that out for you right now. That's not just comic shops. That's any business that starts up. First 5 years is touch and go in most cases. So there's that. Secondly, the statement, I know what sells in my store. Yeah, I know what sells in your store too. Whatever the hell you choose to order and promote properly is what sells in your store, like every other comic shop in America. So what kind of remark is that? I can walk into most comic shops and promote, whether it's my work or any of the other people who've been on this show's work or any number of other products in the Diamond catalog, back of the Diamond catalog, other people's stuff that isn't available through Diamond, and make it sell enough to garner you a profit in your stores. I've done it countless times, and more retailers get angry that I'm able to do it than be glad that I can, because it usually hurts what they feel. It hurts their bottom line with the regular Marvel and DC stuff. So, it's a choice. What you want to sell in your store. As far as, it sure isn't any of the stuff by your guest creators. Well, I would venture to say you probably haven't ordered any of that stuff and marketed it. The only person you mentioned was Riley, who worked on Deadpool. Well, there you go. Top popular Marvel character. What else has Riley done that's sold for you? Because he's done a lot more than just Deadpool, and he's worked for Marvel and a lot of other stuff. That sell for you too? Or did you just sell the Deadpool stuff because that's what sells? A little bit too narrow-minded, buddy. And, then he goes and says, he went to the Indie Planet site and there was nothing he carried in his store. I don't buy that for 1 second, because, to say you went through that whole site or even any considerable number of pages to browse and say you couldn't find anything that you liked and would be willing to promote in your store, either you just didn't want to, you just don't want to bother. Just be honest, Trey. So, and again, this is an attitude I see prevalent in a lot of comic book retailers. Not all of them, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily even a predominant, but a lot of key high-profile people, like some of the people that were talking there, on that podcast with Steve Jeppy. They're big-name retailers. We stand with Diamond. Well, okay, be two-faced about it. You've been bitching for 25 years about everything that Diamond does wrong, but the minute anybody else tries to build a distributorship, we stand with Diamond. It gets annoying, to say the least. And so if I or some of our guests that have been on this show, whether it's here on this podcast or their personal channels, their personal social media outlets, and they call it or they call retailers out on it, there's a reason for it. And it's not that we are trying to be vindictive or that we're jealous or we're whining because we didn't get our shit in their stores or whatever, because the fact is there's so many other avenues to sell a product through now. The comic book shop is just one outlet. And so if they're going to complain that they aren't making business, well, it's their choice to not make business. And that's what we're saying. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, the funny thing about this guy is he's supposedly in Pensacola. Now, it's been a while since I've been down there. It's been about 13 years, but I was down there in 2007. And there was a comic shop, and I don't remember the name of it, forgive me, that I did visit and did try to sell my art book. So not my art book, because that was 2011, but some of my comics at the time. And I walked into the store after I'd called them a good 3 hours earlier, 4 hours earlier, maybe. And they said, yeah, come on in, we want to look at your stuff. I walked in with my box of books and they wouldn't even let me open the box. He's like, well, I already know I can't sell your stuff. How would you know? It's not available through Diamond. Where did you see it? What are you basing your judgment on? And, well, I just know. Well, his customers followed me out of the store and bought direct from me. And they bought from me for a good 4 or 5 issues for the run of that particular series, because he didn't want to do business. There you go. And that's not the same. This is not the same person. I know it's not. But I haven't been able to find his store as far as a brick and mortar address. I've talked to people in Pensacola. I think this is just a guy who's trolling me, but even so, if it is just a troll, or if it's a legitimate retailer down there in Pensacola, Florida, I've seen this attitude too many times. This is why we are going digital exclusive. This is why we're going to the print on demand and the direct to consumer outlets, whether it's through crowdfunding or other online sales, is because of this attitude. And it's not that we don't want to do business with retailers. If retailers want to do business with us and talk to us and get discounts and work things out, I don't see any of us who are unwilling to consider that option. But if anybody's going to do it, then we'd expect you to be equal partners with us and handle your side of the business, which is for you to be the marketing and sales force of that book in your local community. That doesn't mean we won't help you and try and give you tools to better achieve success at that. But ultimately, we can't have retailers saying that our books don't sell because we don't market. our books, and make sure that we tell the customers to come into your store to order it. If we're doing all that, then what are you doing for us? But we've had this discussion before, Trey, and I'm not going to go any further than that tonight. I just thought it was rather humorous, and like I said, I cleaned this up. There was a lot of F-bombs and cussing me out in the original text, so it is what it is. I don't know if anybody besides John is watching. I got 3 people. Who else is on? Who's here tonight besides John? Anybody? There's Mark Andrew Smith. Okay. Mark was one of the guys that I actually talked about this a little bit privately with Mark prior. Mark thought it was humorous that we got that email, or I got that email, I should say, as well. Because as someone in his case, he's done so much stuff with Image Comics and with Dark Horse, and the books didn't sell. And it wasn't like he didn't market them or try to market them. So, to say, say what Trey said was a little bit ridiculous. But again, it's not the first time I've heard that kind of a rant from a retailer. Let's see what else we got tonight. Whoops. Wow. Okay. We go to reviews. There's not much for reviews tonight, but we're gonna go to reviews. There we go. Mm-hmm. And our first book for the evening is the Star Seeds hardcover. It's $29.99. The publisher is Fantagraphics. The creator is Mexican artist and writer Charles Globitz. Or I hope I pronounced that right. The genre is science fiction. It's 240 pages. The ISBN number is 978-1-6099. 9-989-9. And what it's about, light travels through space and brings a prophecy of the awakening of the crystal sigil. At the same time, the secret society of Illuminati steals from the 4 elements to create a new 5th element that has the power to become the object of desire, or any object of desire, pardon me. The ensuing epic battle pits the warrior-like starseed children, who are the end result of the evolution of revolution within our system of genetics, philosophy, science, and art, against the Illuminati and their masters, the Anunnaki, I probably slaughtered that, and the coming of the Black Darkness, recommended for ages 15 and up, 4 out of 5 stars. I'm going to grab the first volume here. You can see it's quite a large book, thick, good hardcover. I'm going to show you a little bit of the interior up, but we'll go ahead and show you that this way first. It's not one. It's not the super fancy Image, Marvel, DC type look of work. Maybe someone like Trey wouldn't want to order it, but tough. I think it's good work. And we'll go ahead and open up some more here. It has a lot of Mexican and Native American mythology in it. If you're a fan of Ancient Aliens, the TV series, some of the Discovery Channel type stuff, it's that kind of a, I won't call it an intellectualism type story, but it's got levels to it. It's got depth in the story. A lot of interesting symbolism, dynamics in his work. A bit further in. As you can see, it's kind of like the villainous Illuminati in the yellow with the triangle in the eye, beating up one of the star children. And you see, there's a lot of good graphic lettering and design. A little bit closer here to some of the art, so you can see, because he does a lot of his text as part of the artwork. As you can see, I want yours, I want your soul, and envy. It's actually all part of the actual artwork. Instead of just, not that comic book lettering isn't part of the artwork, but usually these days it's done with computer graphics as overlays. And in the old days, it used to be overlays that was pasted on the original art. This is actually drawn into the original artwork, which is, different in that respect. And that is, it's a very thick book. Like I said, it's 250 pages, and it's a good solid read. And this is the first book of I think they're going to do 5 volumes of this, and it's all going to be this thick, each one. Let's see what else they got. Which brings us to the second volume. That one's 240 pages. It's saying $29.99. The ISBN number is 978-1-68396-175-8. And in the second volume, after receiving the message in the water infused with the crystal sigil, Renato shares what has been prophesied. Indigo is infected by a black darkness that will soon overtake his soul. The Illuminatis regroup and set forth a new plan. The prophecy of the 7 starseeds comes to pass, and a new being is creating that will face off with the coming black darkness of the Lizard King. Renato recounts the history of the Big Bang and the birth of the 4 cosmic god forces that govern and shape our universe. Another 4 out of 5 stars. Recommended again for 15 and up. You'll see, nice, good, thick book. Good, shiny, reflective cover. And see the interior. It's really like a nice, really well-done book from Fantagraphics. But Fantagraphics is well known for doing quality production values on their books. This is chapter 1 of part 2. And you can kind of see this star being coming out of the guy's hand. But let's see what else we've got real quick here on when I was able to scan in. There we go. As you can see, we're kind of your characters going through the outer space and universe and meeting different entities and stuff. And it's giving a little bit of the history of the Big Bang and how the new lumen beings are formed as the prophecy of the 7 star seeds. Mm-hmm. We'll go ahead and take a little bit more look in here as the characters, Renato and Indigo. And as you can see, there's a little bit more different color scheme in this particular issue as compared to the first one. They had more of a yellow theme. This one has more of a reddish orange theme throughout the book. Which is an interesting dynamic. Mm-hmm. And as you can see, Glaubitz has clearly influenced by artists like Jack Kirby and Mike Allred, Steve Ditko. So if you like those kind of creators, there's a good chance that you will also like this book, this series. I happen to think that the whole overall story is very interesting in that it's, like I said, it's sort of an intellectual type thing. It's something that makes you think. It has different levels of depth of different mythologies and how Glaubitz is intertwining them together to tell his narrative. So, this is one of the things I normally don't get from a lot of stuff from Fantagraphics, but this year, for some reason, late last year, early this year, I started looking at more of their stuff, and I'm finding a lot of really good stuff from them. And should really check these out if you get a chance. Our next book is The Life and Legend of Wally Wood, or Wallace Wood, Volume 1, also from Fantagraphics. It's $39.99. The creator is Wally Wood, of course, with articles and interviews with Bob Stewart, Howard Chaykin, Maria Reidelbach, Ralph Reese, Larry Hammond, and various others. The genre is a biography, historical review, 256 pages, ISBN number 978-1-60699-8151. It's a tour de force retrospective on the life and career of one of comics' most beloved and misunderstood talents, Wally Wood. Considered by many to be the greatest science fiction comics artist ever, he was also an amazing satirist and pioneer in self-publishing with his comics magazine, Wit's End. This is a must-have book for any comics historian or comics fan of the Golden and Silver Age eras. 5-star rating, recommended for ages 17 and up. And again, nice big large size book. And this is gonna, we're gonna go ahead and show you some of his one of his most famous storylines is a comic book called My World. And then you can see the introduction from Howard Chaykin's in text. But let's see if I can get that up there, and you can see the different styles of art. And he's talking about the dinosaurs and the outer space stuff in there. A lot of this is text. It is a biographical feature. Let's see if I can go ahead and he shows some of the satirical stuff that he did in Mad Magazine, like Mutiny on the Bouncy. That was from Mad in 1963. Another good example of his satirical work is Super Duper Man. And introduction to that side of his work is from Maria, as I mentioned. A lot of articles and interviews with people who worked with Wally in his studio throughout his career. Gives you a really good historical perspective of what he was doing at different times of his life. And also a little bit of insight to some of the depression that he faced, because he was always dealing with a lot of self-doubt and questions. For those of you who don't know, Wally unfortunately committed suicide in 81 or 82, and it had to do with his bouts with depression. Here's a cover of one of his books for EC Comics, Incredible Science Fiction. Wally's probably one of the most influential artists of all time in comics. See a little bit more of his, and get that to not be too blurry. There we go. You can see some of his middle of his science fiction bits. And this is from Creepy in 1972. And then a picture of Wally with a dog, one of his pets. I don't really want to, it's just, it's captivating reading. It's a lot of text, but there's also, it's got so much beautiful artwork in it as well. Photos of him at the studio, covers he's done for different things. And this is the earlier era of his career. Back on, speaking of the Starseed Volume 1, yellow spot coloring is interesting. Yes, I thought that was one of the reasons I was kind of interested in it, was because it was doing, I guess you could say, a 3-spot color. Well, actually, it's 1 spot, but yeah, it's that way with all the production. And yes, it is great production design. Sorry I didn't get your comments earlier, Mark. I wish I had. Thanks for commenting on that stuff. My Come on. Getting a lockup on some of the program on this for some reason. Okay. Yes, it really is great production design on the Starseed stuff. And what he's talking about with the yellow spotting. We'll go back to that real quick. And you see it's black and white with yellow. Really cool dynamic stuff there. Getting back real quick to Wally, Volume 1. This covers up through about I think his work with it covers a lot of the things, but here's some of his more satirical stuff again. And instead of Flash Gordon, it's Flesh Garden. And that appeared in, let's see, Mad number 11 from 1954. 1954. He also did commercial art and design art and stuff for Playboy and that kind of market. That's why it's for ages 17 and up. There is nudity in the book and stuff. But you know, some incredible detail here. Let me find a lot of duotone shading. Whoops, sorry about the reflection there. Elvis. He also did trading cards back in the day, little bubble gum cards. The ones that are in color are the front of the card, and on the back of the card, you got the black and white stuff, or the black, white, and blue stuff. So I don't know if you can read some of that stuff, but it says every time you breathe, someone dies, so brush your teeth. They were called crazy cards. Very popular in the 50s and 60s. Another comics historian who was in this book, Mark Evanier, The Man Without Peer. For those of you who don't know, Wally redesigned Daredevil with the red devilish costume after Bill Everett did the yellow costume originally, and did a lot of stuff in that second year of Daredevil that really revitalized the character. And Evanier does an interview with Wally in the book, and they talk about that period in this, about the stuff that he did with Daredevil, and it shows you the issues that Wally worked on. some of the issues. Where is that from? Let's see. That is from issue number. The top thing is the cover to Daredevil number 10. He had to make some sort of change to appease the Comics Code Authority. I don't know exactly what change it is off the top of my head. And there's a couple of more images that he did for the splash page for Daredevil number 9 is the big page that he may see. As you can see, very distinctive black usage and, of the dark art, or pardon me, the shadows and lighting effects. So that's about where they take off on that part of the first part of his career is the where he's working on Marvel at Daredevil and stuff like that. And then we have The Life and Legend of Wallace Ward, Volume 2. This one's 272 pages, and the ISBN number is 978-1-68396-068-3. And this is the second and final volume of the series, and it concludes an amazing retrospective of the life and career of Wally Wood. It is a bit darker in tone than the first volume, but that's an inevitable given because of, like I said, Wally dealt with a lot of depression and sadly, he committed suicide in 1981. But I do consider it required reading for all comics fans. Wood's story is both triumph and tragedy. And I think it's also a precautionary tale because a lot of people think a lot of us in this industry are just like, superstar famous and happy-go-lucky, and we have our whole lives wonderful for us. And here's one of the most influential comic artists of all time who dealt with these problems and ended up committing suicide. I think people should read it and get in a little bit more of an introspective to understand what it's like to be people who are in this business and the loneliness that even though we might have friends and family and people that are in and out of our lives in the industry, working in this business can be an extremely lonely process, and you become attached and identifiable to your work, and when your work doesn't hold market after so long, or not even such your work doesn't hold market as much as the people in charge change and they have different tastes or whatever. It can really affect you psychologically, like it did with Wally. I'm just going to go right to some of the other stuff he did here. Some of his work for DC that he did for, let's see, was that for All-Star Comics? Okay. And that's with Superman in a knight uniform with the Shining Knight. I don't know if you guys remember the Shining Knight character out there. But that is the All-Star Comics, the Super Squad. And he worked on a book called Stalker and Hercules Unbound. I found this stuff really fascinating because of just being interested in the history of comics, but just you know, you start examining the stuff that's in this book or in um, really any quality biographical historical retrospective of an artist, you will see um, not only how they influenced the market with their artwork, how they influenced the next generations. You can see where people picked up different techniques by emulating Wood or emulating Jack Kirby or Neil Adams, or in more recent times, I guess you'd have to say people like Jim Lee or Tom McFarlane or Art Adams as well. But you know, you can see some of the stuff here with the shadows and that they do. Whoops, fans blowing the stuff the wrong direction. This is a little bit later in his career. It talks about when he pretty much stopped working for Marvel and DC, started doing his own stuff, um, which includes the Thunder Agents, which was a very popular creator-owned series that he did. Uh, and also some of the stuff he did for Power Records in the 60s and 70s. You can see those things up top. He did the artwork layouts for some of these. War of the Worlds, Around the World in 80 Days, The First Man in the Moon. Um, he also did Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is ironically the first thing I think I ever saw of Wally's work. I don't know if it's in here or not. Oh, we'll see if it is. Nope, I don't think it is, but that's okay. But if you look up Power Records and look up Journey to the Center of the Earth, it'll say probably Wood and Atkins because Dan Atkins was doing a lot of work with him. Wally helped out a lot of people throughout his career. Nicola Cootie, Dan Atkins, Howard Chaykin, Bob Stewart. Geez. Hold on a second. Paul Kirchner. Bill Pearson, quite a few others. There's just a whole lot of people that who crossed through Wally's studio. Some more examples of his work. And these are, anecdotal interviews of their experiences with him and, stuff that, they kind of wish they had recognized and done, said more, I guess, to maybe, there's no way of knowing whether, if anybody would be able to say anything to keep him around. Like I say, he'd been dealing with depression for a very long time near the end. But let's see. Just want to pull that back here. Come on. Doesn't want to focus, does it? I apologize that it doesn't want to focus more than that, but yeah, I can't show some of that stuff because it's nudies. There's another awesome piece with a lot of duo shade effects. And that is from, can't read it, sorry. That's from Vampirella from 1971. So you can see he worked on some risque kind of titles, because back then when Warren was doing Vampirella, it was a little bit on the saucy side, shall we say. He did a lot of other things in here as well. I can't really, again, show you. There was a comic strip he did called Malice in Wonderland, with a nude Alice running around Wonderland. Then he got into doing What's End, which was kind of the funny thing going on, but you know, that was kind of like one of the first anthologies that actually predated heavy metal, and unfortunately, it didn't take off like it should have, but it was very much of that line. He also did a lot of stuff for, like I said, Playboy, Hustler type stuff. One of the things he did for Larry Flint was a Sex and Celebrities issue called Screw. So, you know, Wally was not a person that you had to worry about not risking stuff. There's a lot of things in here that I could go through on this, but ultimately, this is one of the best purchases I made last year. I got it for Christmas. I got these for Christmas last year. 500 pages of history and gorgeous artwork from one of the best, if not the best artist. You know, some people will say Jack's the best. You know, I think this is personal taste, but I think Wally's probably one of the top 3 in history, if not top 1. But you know, again, you're going to argue between him and Kirby and 1 or 2 other people maybe, but you know, I wish more people would give Wally. When people talk about Wally, they give him his credit, but I wish they'd give him more of the love that they give Jack. I guess you could say. I don't see it as often as we see with Jack, because, you know, I don't know if it's because, you know, Jack just was so prolific and did so many different characters. Not that Wally didn't. I just don't know. You know, I think maybe because Wally was always doing the science fiction and the horror comics for EC and Warren in the 50s and 60s. And unfortunately, there isn't as much appreciation for that genre of comics in modern time as there is for the so-called classic superheroes. And that is all for our reviews this evening, because, well, as you saw, that's about 1,000 pages of reading last week. So I didn't get to read much else. But next week we will definitely be covering the MLJ Companion, which is a overview, another biographical historical book, retrospective on the Archie superheroes. And we'll be doing some additional titles as well. But that's next week. Let's see what else we've got. Yes. Let's get into our, hold on a second. Okay, sorry. Something's, there we go. All right. Sorry about that. Somebody was trying to get a hold of me on Facebook. All righty. We're going to talk a little bit more this week about the crowdfunding stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is one of the books I've reviewed or have backed. It's called Johnny Phantasm 1977, issues 1 through 3, 24 pages per issue. The Tales of New Detroit 1977 is back, available one last time in a limited 3-issue run. It has already passed its fixed goal. There's 26 days left, so you will definitely get your book if you order this. Let's go ahead and run the and that is our quick video of it. We'll go ahead and go down and read a little bit more about it. This book is going to be from Riot Press Productions and Alterna Comics as their printing partner. They will be on newsprint, 3 issues, with 3 brand new covers by the artist Patrick Thomas Parnell. Has a new, never before published backup story featuring a new character, Mr. Ink, and you can get the 3 issues for $15. It's a limited series, tells the complete story, but it's also a terrific jumping off or jumping on point for fans of the so-called New Detroit universe. I'm not familiar with that universe, but when I saw the art, it just, it reminded me very much of the classic, well, it says here, the book is Beetlejuice meets Scarface, but also for fans of Batman, Joker, Daredevil, and the Mask. And that's what it reminds me of, is the, it's kind of like the, I'm trying to think of it, the Paul Dini, Bruce Timm stuff for Batman. Just done for a more, for the villain as the lead, as opposed to Bruce as the hero. It's kind of like what if the Joker became, was a hitman instead of what he is, a crazy psychopath who has demonic mariachi band, there with the with the sugar skull face and stuff like that. Um, it's really interesting to me, and I'm hoping to see a little bit more of that. So I back that. And I just got the books, but you can get posters and a baseball card and a pin and a sticker pack and a whole bunch of other stuff. Take a little bit, you can see the Bruce Timm influence here. It's a very Bruce Timmy looking cover there. And that particular cover looks a little bit like Guy Davis, but see a little bit more of the interior art for that series. I'm going to say that the book's probably geared for a more adult audience, but seeing as it is about a gang hitman who becomes demonically possessed and stuff, but should be interesting. For those of you who don't know who is on the book, Evan Posios is the writer, and he worked on Time Grunts, which was published by Caliber. And the artist is known for working on Sonic, Teenage Ninja Turtles, and Mega Man. And edited by Dr. Andrea Lorenzo Molinari, who works for both Scout and Caliber, and wrote The Shepherd for Caliber. So these are, people who are well established creators. They know what they're doing. And like I said, it's already been funded. It shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to get your book if you order this particular product. And that is our first book of the night. And like I said, I did order this. I will review it when I receive it. Our next book is, I think I might have talked about this in the past, but it's called The Dragon Guard, and it is from Kevin Sharp. Kevin is pretty well known. For DC, he worked on Adventure Comics doing the Legion of Superheroes storylines with Paul Levitz. And he's been around for probably a good 10 or 15 years in the business. We'll take a quick look at some of his artwork if we can. But first, let's go ahead and run the video. And that's the quick video. But as you can kind of see, it's very influenced by Masters of the Universe, Thundercats type influence stuff. It's his take and his characters on that. You saw a list of the titles he's worked on. Again, a very well established artist. His colors is well established as well. We'll take a quick look at it again here. It is well over its intended limit. It's got 27 days left. He asked for $13,000. He's got over 21. He's got almost 22,000 with 325 backers on it. I haven't backed this one yet. I'm trying to make up my mind which version I want to get. But estimated shipping is going to be in October of this year for the book. And let's take a quick thing here. Okay, he's 25 years in. It doesn't seem like he's been around that long, but yeah, he probably has. The more I think about it, he has worked for all the companies he's cited there: Marvel, DC, Dynamite, Image, CrossGen, and IDW. I first remember him doing some stuff. Oh, geez, called The Book, and it was similar stuff to this fantasy. Cartoon fantasy stuff. So it's definitely him doing, a love letter type comic to that type of stuff with Thundercats and Masters of the Universe and Visionaries and that type of stuff. So if you're a big fan of that kind of stuff yourself, as the cartoons of the 80s, this might be a book that would be to your interest. Take another quick look at some of this stuff visually. Exactly what all his different things are for the higher priced backing, I really don't know. Let's see what each one's there. See if I can find what he's got, if anything, listed on which goals are which. I know that he's got other stuff there, but doesn't really say. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go back up here. Again, I don't really know which is which here. For his perks, I really don't know. Let's see if we can figure it out. Okay. For $15, you get the digital copy in PDF form, and that is like hopefully at least a 44-page book and probably a 68-page book. I think he said he was trying to do. The Instant Classic. Okay, it's a 60-page full-color comic, perfect bound and in your hands. And it might be a little bit pricey for some. That might be why I haven't done it yet. There's a different cover right there with the villains instead of the heroes. You get a metal card of the promo image for 30. Same thing with the villains. Let's see what the Forged in Fire. You get the comic in metal print and card. Okay. That sort of thing. But let's see what the Warriors Call is. You get both heroes and villains covers signed for 100. Okay, that makes sense, I guess. And your metal covers and prints, but I would assume the Siege would be original art. Yeah, you get a page of interior art. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, he's got some decent some decent prizes. Different things that you can order. Again, GG. What is that? Good God. Or gotta go. Could be because I got one less live viewer. He might have had to leave. Okay, Mark, that's okay. But either way, if you're a fan of the Masters of the Universe, He-Man, She-Ra type stuff, or you're a fan of Thundercats or something, this might be to your liking. Again, it's called the Dragon Guard. You can find it on Indiegogo. And it's got 27 days left to back. Let's see what else we got. Because there's plenty more to this week to share with you folks. Here we go. All righty. This is Stephen Frank's Palomino. And this is a crime noir graphic novel set in the 80s Los Angeles country music clubs, which is a very interesting set piece because it's very time centric to that era. Let's see what they have to say. Now, part of the reason I picked this particular book of interest to me is because I am a country music fan. And believe it or not, while I knew there was a country music scene in California, I was not aware of the Los Angeles scene at all. I knew, of course, the Bakersfield Sound with Buck Owens and Dwight Yoakam and those guys, but wasn't really familiar with this. And so this is going to be something new for me. And so I will be backing this. And when I get it in, I will review it on the show. Let's take a quick look at it again on some of the information. The year is 81. The American century is running on fumes. And the cowboy is still America's most central symbol. And from movies to music to the president himself, it all hails from Southern California. The age of urban cowboys is in full swing. Cowboy hats and rhinestone suits are all the rage. Kenny Rogers' Lady is the Billboard's #3 song of the year. Dolly Parton is a national icon. And across LA, 6 nights a week, working musicians, TV actors, stuntmen, cops, hustlers, and broken souls all play part in the cultural myth making. Most of them are just trying to survive on the B side of the City of Angels. He's talked about different things, about the history here of what's going on with what's going on in our market right now in the middle of the pandemic. But it's worth considering. For $10, you get the Palomino digital version. Let's see. With Kickstarter, I don't know if they let you. No, it doesn't say. All right. I'm not going to do that. For $20 or more, you get the physical copy of Palomino. If you get 25 or more, you get digital copies of all 6, which is Palomino, Silver Volume 1 through 4, and Rosalind. For 25 or more, you can also get an art print. For $32 or more, you get the Volume 1 for Palomino and a physical copy of the Silver Volumes, which Silver is another series that he finished recently. So you can get all the different stuff that have been done with his thing. And I will probably look at I'm probably going to get the 85 or more. That way I get Palomino and the Silver 1 to 4 trade paperbacks and the hardcover for Rosalind. So I get everything. It's probably what I'll probably end up doing. And that will ship in July of 2020, supposedly. So give or take some, because as you well know, with the pandemic going on, it'll be questionable whether or not the printing schedule and mailing and shipping will go on time. I'm sure if they'll do the best they can, we'll get it, and when we do, I'll be sure to review that here on the podcast. But if you are into crime noir type stories, hold on a second. Where is it? Here it is. Sorry. Trying to. There we go. I'm going to get Pat Silvers and other stuff. But, basically, this is a father and daughter story about, Eddie Lang's next cop turned working musician. And he basically reluctantly works as a PI to provide for his teenage daughter, Lisette. And, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see what they do. It will be a 112-page full-color graphic novel in trade paperback. And the Palomino is an actual club, country western music club, that actually existed. And the writer of this story He moved to Los Angeles in '95, which was the year of Palomino closed. That's probably why I didn't know about it, because I didn't get out west until around that same time. It was already closed by the time I got out there, so I didn't know anything about it. Um, if I'd known anything about it, if it's still been there back when I got to go to California, because I didn't get to go to California until like '96 or '97. Um, if it had been there, I would have definitely visited it, but oh well. Um, but basically, he had wanted to do a unique crime story with the Palomino as a setting, and it's cool that he does that. And he's got a lot of people who seem to really appreciate it. Elsa Charretier, Howard Chaykin, Alex Segura. So if these guys are all willing to back it, and of course, I guess you could say you always take that with a grain of salt, but you know, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty solid book. Pretty confident in it. It is definitely a mature reader's book. There's going to be language in it. There's going to be, kind of a um, typical noir, crime noir stuff. There's going to be, definitely some adult language and adult scenes in this book. So it's definitely for mature readers. But hopefully, people will enjoy that. And so I'll let you know when I get that, when I order it, and we'll review it when it comes in. Okay. Um, let's see what else we got. Yes. You have Floriform, which is got 8 days left to go with 108 backers. Hasn't quite met its pledge goal. It's about $700 short. So about a week to go. And it's a science fiction story. It's a self-contained one-shot book. Mm-hmm. And it's about an explorer who visits an alien planet and discovers a strange planet that unlocks the power to travel 3 seconds into the future, which is kind of weird, but okay. A mega corporation begins adapting the plants to suit their own purposes, which probably means they're trying to adapt the plants to make you go even further time travel, but we'll see. Uh, Things get serious when the corporation sends in the skeleton squad after rebels start burning crops. Floriform has action, adventure, romance, time travel, cloning, cults, the military industrial complex, humor, and colorful artwork. Imagine if Charlie Brown was the star of Apocalypse Now. Let's not do that. Let's just stick with what we got here. It's better suited for older readers. Imagine it as a show on Adult Swim. Yes, I think that's probably pretty true. While the story and artwork is playful, it is a pretty solid, violent story. Let's go. I don't know. You don't really get to see a whole lot of. He doesn't do big scenes in this. It'll be a 36-page full color book from James Lloyd if it gets released. He wanted to get this out and funded by the end of the month, but obviously that's or no, the end of May. Pardon me. So he's got about a month to go if we can get this thing funded for him. All the funding will go to printing of 200 books, extra rewards, production, and Kickstarter fees. I guess he's not looking for a higher print run. I don't know. That could be why he's having a hard time reaching his minimum. To say that you're printing only 200 copies is a possible. I don't know. That's interesting. Um, You can pledge $5 or more for a digital PDF or CBR format of the book. $10 for the printed book. Includes digital copies of printed book and your name immortalized in the back of the book. Again, $10 for a 36-page book seems maybe a little bit high. I don't know. It is on higher stock, but again, he's kind of if there's only going to be 200 copies, it's probably worth the $10 because you are having a very limited print run. So if that's the only copies are going to be, maybe it's worth the investment, folks. I don't know. But let's take a quick look at his video real quick. Oh, no, he doesn't have one. I'm sorry. I thought he had a video. Okay. But that's pretty much it for him. Then is you can get for 20, you can get an art print with it. And for 30, you get a sketch from him as well as the other stuff, which is fine. I would recommend, if you're interested, pledge for the digital for $5 or the $10 just for the printed book myself. But I'm probably going to go. I don't know if I'm going to go with the digital or the printed at this point. We'll see. We got how many more days left to make up my mind? 8 days. Okay, yeah. Again, it's about 500 short of his pledged goal. So, I'm interested in it. We'll see. Okay. Mm-hmm. And lastly, but not really lastly, there was another one through, I believe, Kickstarter. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yes, there it is. Okay. All right. And this is Merrick, the Sensational Elephant Man Puppets, featuring it's issues 9 through 11, a new story arc of the cult pulp adventure Penny Dreadful comic series, The Sensational Elephant Man. I've not seen this series before now. It's definitely influenced by the Mignola Hellboy type stuff. So if you're into that type of comic, this is probably for you. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce Mr. Joseph Merrick, the Elephant Man. Before doing so, I ask you, please, to prepare yourselves. Brace yourselves up to witness one who is probably the most remarkable human being ever to draw the breath of life.
Hi, I'm Tom Ward, writer and creator of Merrick the Sensational Elephant Man. We're back for our 6th Merrick Kickstarter to fund issues 9, 10 and 11. That's 3 new issues, which is a full story arc. It's done by our usual creative team, which is myself, Luke Parker doing the artwork, Mika Myers, he's doing the lettering. We've got new characters, old characters are making a return, just more fun, pulp Penny Dreadful, Victorian action and adventure. 11 issues is a huge achievement for any comic, and we are super proud of the work that we've already done, but we're so excited to be working on these new issues. The new things we've been working on is some of the best work that we've done yet. If you're a returning backer, thanks so much for your support. If you've never read Americomic before, you can download issue 1 for free. There's a link in the main body of the page, and you can just check out and see what you think. Thanks for checking out the Kickstarter. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to make comics. I hope you like what you see, and if you choose to pledge, amazing. We'll get the comics sorted. We'll get them out to you. Let's make some comics.
Now we're going to do a quick rundown page, and I will talk about that link to the free issue number 1. But before I do that, I want you guys to understand issue 1 is sold out, but you can get a trade of the first 4 issues through their web store, and I'm going to show you that as well. So let's start by looking at the actual page. It's already been pledged through. It's got 40 hours to go, so about less than 2 days left. But they've met their pledge, so you're going to get your book if you fund it, one way or the other. As I said, he's done. I didn't realize that this was, when I first saw this, it was going to be. I knew it was going to be stories beyond the first issue, type stuff, but I hadn't heard of it, and it's been out for almost a year, in terms of the number of issues. So it's kind of crazy. It is that Hellboy BPRD type stuff. Whoops, sorry. Let me go back. Number 9 will be 24 pages, number 10 will be 20 pages, and number 11 will be 28 pages and covers. So basically, for whatever reason, number 10 is a little bit shorter, and they make it up in 11. So you're going to get 72 pages of story regardless. As with all single issues of Merrick, issues 9 through 11 will be limited number runs of 500 copies, never to be reprinted with the same cover. A maximum of 2 print runs per each issue. Okay. Okay. Interesting. You get digital versions as well as print if you want. And you can get the number 1 is sold out in print as a singles issue, and you can still get number 2 through 8 in singles if they still got a few copies left there on number 2, like 60 is what he says. And then you see the link in the body. You can go ahead and get the first issue free as a preview on this, and I'm just going to go ahead and see if we can put a link to that there. Hold on a second. That's not what I want. There you go. That is the link to that particular one. And I'll go ahead and also put it in the comments so that you can copy it and find it. Remember, it is called Merrick the Sensational Elephant Man. Um, Now, also, as I said, you can get there's a homepage for their website that you can go. But before we go there, um, they're in the UK, so it's going to be a little bit different for your yeah, your books. You pledge €4, about $5 or more. You get the PDF and CBR files of the 3 issues. Estimated delivery is the first is January 2021. You can get digital issues of number 1 through 4. You can get the physical trade paperback and the digital for $12, $15. You can get physical copies of a lot of different things here, basically. They've got pretty good alternate stuff, and they've got other issues, other titles that you can get that were spin-offs of this series as well. For example, if you got the physical and the digital catch-up, you get 9 through 11 in physical copies. You get 1 through 11 digitally. You get Trees Original, which is a one-shot in digital, and American Crow as a one-shot in digital as well. And there's only 420 left. Okay, pardon me. But there's plenty of stuff here that you can get. So pretty good. And let's see how much they got left back on this. About 40 hours. So, it's not bad. And they got there, so you should be able to get your product from them. As I said, they also have other means to get it if you don't want to do the Kickstarter. You can get it at their page, americcomic.com, or americcomic.co.uk, I should say. Let's see if I can get that shared real quick for you. That is what you're looking at right now. The trade paperback collects 1 through 4 is $9.99 in euros, which is about $15 American. The one shot Trees Restless Nights, €4.99, about $5, I think, for the American, and so on. Some of these are sold out, like American Crow. You can't get that one in print from them. Apparently, it's sold out already. And number 1 of the original series is sold out, but you should be able to get the rest. And they got T-shirts and posters as well. So you should be able to find stuff and get a preview and figure out what you want from there as well. And that will be all of our discussion for this evening in terms of the crowdfunding and reviews. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get my silly computer working right again. Apologies for the computer being silly. Here we go. Just a quick notice again for the COP regulations. The show is intended for ages 16 and up, and we try to just be educational for the adults so that they can be more knowledgeable consumers in service of their youth. And there was always a possibility of language present on our episodes as well, rated TV 16 and up. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on Facebook at lewis.brightraven, DeviantArt at deviantart.com/brightraven, here on YouTube at Quoth the Raven, Lewis Brightraven. You can email me at quotheravenlbr72@gmail.com or lewisbrightraven@yahoo.com. Our podcast is usually on Thursday nights, Eastern Standard Time. Now, there is a few announcements that we need to make before I sign off for the evening. This weekend, on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, that's May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, there will be some live draws. And what I will be doing is I will be doing live draw, and I'll also be selling original artwork on the show. May 4th will be Star Wars themed. The other two will be open-ended. I don't know exactly the time or what all I'm going to be doing. I can tell you right now I'm not going to be doing anything that isn't, I guess you could say, all ages, so to speak. Basically because I'm planning on running it on Facebook as well as YouTube. If I can manage it. StreamYard should let me do it, but we'll have to wait and see. And so there will be original sketch cards, original sketches, copies of Wingman, the art book that I did in 2011, other stuff available for sale, as well as me doing sketches live on air. Okay? So that's one thing that's going to be going up for this weekend. Also, an announcement. Someone was asking about when am I going to put new product out. We are in the process of finalizing some stuff for the show so that you can get t-shirts and other paraphernalia related to the Quoth the Raven show. There will be a symbol shirt like what you see usually at the very beginning of our show, with me and with the bird sitting in his satellite nest with the computer screens. That'll be a shirt. Something similar to what you see with the I'll show you real quick here. It'll be that right there with the bird and Quoth the Raven. Different a little layout, but it'll be something along those lines on a black tee. And we're going to have some other stuff as well. Now, I have to get that finalized, and we're basically waiting for the printer, the shirt printer, to reopen due to the pandemic before I finalize the store and get it up and running. But once that's done, we will have that available for everyone. Okay, so those are our announcements that I hope people who've been looking for that stuff from me will check out shortly, and I hope to see you this weekend. That's pretty much it for now. I'm also going to have someone asked me if I was going to do a Kickstarter process for some of the t-shirts or some of the other products. Not ready to do Kickstarter or Indiegogo yet. That's later this year though. And we might do a t-shirt promoting one of the products before we do a Kickstarter, just to raise money to help build towards the Kickstarter anyway. So we'll wait and see on how that goes. All right. So until then, I want to say thank you for watching, as always. If you enjoyed our show this evening, please hit the subscribe or like button. We really appreciate it if you would. And we'll see you guys next week with, again, we'll be reviewing the MLJ companion book, which is History of Archie superhero characters from the 50s to the present. And we'll be reviewing some other stuff as well. And hopefully we won't have any more silly retailer rants at us. It's very simple. If you don't like what I had to say, stop watching the channel. But until then, folks, we'll catch you guys on the flip side, shall we say? And if you want to reach us, again, this is the place to do it. These are the places to do it. And we'll see you this weekend. Have a good evening.